Hi, I'm going to attempt with a really poorly done drawing to explain extractors, ejectors, and selective ejectors. On a shotgun that has one chamber in it, one barrel, a lot of them don't have any kind of fancy doohickey to make it to where it'll pull out the shells and you just have to pick them out or whatever. Some of them, however, include something called an extractor. Now, the extractor is pretty simple. Now, the drawing here is very poorly done. I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to explain the extractor here as much as I'm trying to explain how it's directly evolved into ejectors and why this is combined together to be the fancy ejector. So here we go. When you have a shotgun, when you tilt the barrel forward, if it's a break action, you open it up, and when you do that, it usually folds partially in half, or completely in half in some of them. Now, as it's doing that, as you can immediately tell from this physical object here, let's say I make this the center point of where the barrels up here are moving. Now, this part here is actually attached to the barrels or right between them. I didn't draw this very well, but it could be a triangular piece right between two barrels. And instead of one ejector, it could be two of them. In fact, it might be the exact opposite where it's a different shape, where it's shaped more like a little W here. But I just drew one just for the sake of argument. As the barrel is tipped forward, this part here holds completely still. This could be part of the mechanism anywhere in it. It doesn't even matter if it's in front or behind it. It just has to be somewhere along the pathway where there's a hinge point, and beyond it is some lump of metal here, and this metal rod is pushed against it because the thing's rotating this direction. As it's doing that, it very simply pushes backwards and applies pressure to the shotgun shells. It's pretty simple now. Now, what good is that? Well, that makes it to where the shell can be ejected, or pulled out. Now, I didn't find any videos on YouTube explaining the next part, but this is very important to start with. This part is free-floating and does not it's free-floating and does not have a spring or anything in it. There's nothing in there trying to keep it in a particular position. It can be in either. If you close the action of the gun, this is why they didn't include the spring, this part up here, this front part, it's angled, and it'll run into the rest of the gun and be shoved in anyway. So there was never a reason to put a spring in there. Now one day, somehow, somebody got the brilliant idea, let's put a spring in it because maybe they had a shotgun shell get stuck. And that extra little bit of pressure would push it out after they opened it, maybe, or something. I don't know where it came from, honestly. But anyway, someone got the brilliant idea of putting a spring back here. Instead of having it run into the frame, it would just always push out. So when you closed it, it would automatically shut the thing, and then when you opened it, it would push it out because of a spring. Now, this might have been a really good idea at the time, or it might have been a really dumb one, because a lot of you may know this about shotguns, is that the extractor is extremely reliable, even though there's nothing in it except a metal rod that runs into some part of the rest of the gun. I mean, it's really dumb, stupid, simple. But let's say somebody decided to be clever and put a spring on it, because again, this will always compress when you close it, and it will always kick out when you open it. This would make it to where you can make a really uncomplicated surface down here. Well, then someone probably figured out that's a bad idea because of, name that reason, and might have noticed, hey, we have a catch in here. We used to keep it from being pushed out all the way. Why don't we articulate it to where if we have the action closed, it's like this, and it has no reaction to it. But if we open it even a little bit, it pushes down on this and ejects with a spring pressure. And again, when you put the shell in, it'll always catch and lock. And then someone got the idea, hey, wait a minute, let's make it to where we have to open the action a long way to do that, so that it'll literally pop them right out. So the spring-loaded extractor is an ejector, and it's triggered, this is a very important word, by a mechanism that's very similar to the one that's used for cocking the hammers back. As you tilt the body, as you tilt the barrels down, reference to the body of the gun, it doesn't push something back here on the barrel, it pushes something back way behind this to push back on the hammers. And then someone got the really simple idea, hey, if the shotgun shell hasn't fired, we can inhibit the extractor by making it to where it will only work because something right here will block it in the up position if the hammer's still back. That way it won't eject a shell unless it's been fired. Now, I hope that's clear. I'm pretty sure it won't be. This has been a horribly done video by Waptek, and I'm very sorry. But I just found out that there's only 2 videos on the internet. One of them on YouTube, and that's it. that tries to explain this. I'm going to do a better diagram of this, but I just found this today, and if I'm able to upload it, it'll be great. I've had a really bad connection here, and I have not been able to, I wasn't able to go on NServe tonight at all. It just kept hiccuping and disconnecting me over and over again. It's been doing that for the last 2 weeks. So I got lucky last week, but not this week. So anyway, I hope this has been informative or useful or some damn thing for you guys. I will make, because I now have this piece of information, and so do you, I will now attempt to make a combination mechanism that could be made by anybody using literally nails and metal tubing, and figure out how to do this for making a real user-created extractor, ejector, and maybe a fired shell only extractor. It's not actually based on whether the shell's been fired. I was wrong about that originally. It's literally based on whether or not the hammer's pulled back. If the hammer isn't pulled back, it ejects them. So if you put them in and decock the hammers and then pop it open, it'll eject the shells. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And obviously this hasn't been clear, but maybe it will be later, and I'll do a diagram better than this. But I'm putting this up as a note to self. Bye.